How to factor trinomials with leading coefficients not 1. Example B. Factor the polynomial completely. We are given the polynomial 6x to the third power plus 10x squared minus 4x. As always when factoring, the first thing you want to look for is a GCF. Now it looks like in this trinomial, we do have a GCF of 2x. So let's start by factoring out the 2x. If we factor out 2x, we will be left with 3x squared plus 5x minus 2. The GCF that is factored out is going to appear in the final factored form of the polynomial. But for now, let's focus on this trinomial that's remaining. Here, A is 3, B is 5, and C is negative 2. Remember, we want to look for two values that will add to the B value, which is 5, and those same two values that will multiply to A times C, 3 times negative 2, which is negative 6. So let's take a look at negative 6 and its factors. We could have a positive 1 times a negative 6. That would get us negative 6, but that would add to a negative 5. A negative 1 times a positive 6 would multiply to a negative 6, and that would add to a positive 5, which is what we want. So let's go ahead and use negative 1 and positive 6 for the values that we're going to choose. Now let's rewrite our problem using these values. Remember, we're going to rewrite our b term, 5x, so that we can use factor by grouping to further factor this trinomial, giving us 3x squared minus the 1x plus the positive 6x minus 2. Remember, we substitute the 5x b term using the two values that we just found. Now, using factor by grouping, we can group the first two terms and factor out an x, leaving us 3x minus 1. We can group the second two terms and factor out a positive 2, leaving us with 3x minus 1. Remember, the key here is to factor the GCF of the smaller groups so that you end up with similar factors in each of the two terms. In this case, that similar factor is 3x minus 1. That's the GCF of the final result here. So we can factor out the GCF, 3x minus 1. And that'll leave us with x plus 2. Now remember, this is a factored form of this trinomial. What we want is a factored form of the original polynomial, 6x to the third plus 10x squared minus 4x. Originally, we had already factored out the 2x. So let's go ahead and rewrite that all out. Remember, the polynomial was 6x to the third plus 10x squared minus 4x. And that will factor to 2x, the GCF, times 3x minus 1 times. We're done.